Today I want to talk to you about your acting resume, or specifically your musical theater resume. I have an example resume here, and I want to go over the format and kind of show you how it can help tell your story. You see, you're going to walk into the musical theater audition, and you may have 30 seconds to a minute to sing for the panel, and then another 1 to 2 minutes to do your acting audition, and if you're lucky, you'll have 15 minutes to 30 minutes to dance for them. Some schools you'll get an hour to an hour and a half. There's a lot of information that you need to communicate to the panel, and there's only so much that can be done in those short segments of time. But the resume is there to help tell your complete story, to let the panel know things that they otherwise may not know about you. So let's walk through this, look at the layout, and how we can use these different sections to tell your story. The top section is the place where we are going to give them their basic contact information. So as you see, we have your name, email address, phone numbers, and a website. It's not required that you have a website at this point. If you do, that's great. You don't want to put up a website, though, that's not professional. Speaking of professionality, we also want to look at your email address. As you can see, this email address is fuzzybearstmusicaltheater@gmail.com. Those young-sounding email addresses are not the best. First of all, they're hard to type in if I want to contact you. Second of all, they kind of show a sign of maturity that may not say this person is ready for college-level training. So instead, see if you can't name your email address after yourself. So in this case, we would call it SusieTripleThreat@gmail.com. Now let's go through the main sections of the resume. Well, let's assume that this student is from a small town in Montana where there haven't been a lot of opportunities, but she's very talented and she has taken her training very seriously. The schools that she is looking at focus on all kinds of musical theater, but really do well with the Golden Age period. So starting off, the first section I've listed is musical theater, and I've only put the 2 roles that Susie has performed. So even though Susie has only had 2 musical theater experiences, it's not something to worry about. You see, sometimes we'll see a student from New York who's done 20 performances and their skill set is so-so, and then we'll see a student from a place like Montana that's only had 2 performance experiences, and the skill set and the talent level is way above the charts. In that instance, the 2 shows mean nothing. It just tells us that this person came from a small town, and we would rather take the person from the small town with enormous talent than the person from a big town with a lot of experience who is still very rough around the edges. So listing the 2 shows only is fine, and we can put some space in between. Now, Susie has had opportunity in straight theater, doing plays, and so we're going to put that information below. Because her resume is a little shorter, we've separated that out into another section. We could have labeled the upper section musical theater/theater if we had a lot of roles to list. Now under this, we're also going to list them and give ourselves a little space. Not only does this show a continuation of performance experience, but by calling it theater, Susie is able to communicate to the panel that she sees straight theater as an important part of her work and development and something she would like to continue pursuing, separate from musical theater, or in addition to music theater. The next section we've listed is dance experience. In Susie's town, there actually are a couple of dance companies that do a lot of high-quality work. And in the region, they're really well regarded, so people at universities may recognize the names. By listing dance experience, Susie is able to set herself out away from the crowd as a dancer, and that's very important in a musical theater audition. So as you see, here we have allowed Susie Triple Threat to really show that she is a triple threat, that she is a singer, actor, dancer, an actor, and a dancer. And now we're going to reinforce the idea of a singer. You see, Susie doesn't have musical theater productions to participate in like other students, but she has a lot of strong choral experience at a high school that is known throughout the region for winning all the big choral contests. And because Susie is auditioning for schools that do a lot of Golden Age musical theater, she knows that they're going to be interested in her classical singing chops. So by listing 3 big choral experiences, she is able to communicate to the panel that this is an element of her performance experience that she takes seriously. Susie did have the opportunity to go away during the summer and do a few workshops and camps. These are not absolutely necessary, but if you've done them, you want to let the panel know that you've done them. It shows us a commitment to formalized training and not just doing production after production. And so these you want to just basically list the name, where the city and state was, and the year that you attended. Now the next section that gives us a lot of information is training. You don't want to lie in this section or over-exaggerate or second-guess what you tell us. You have to understand that a student that's had 5 voice teachers may have learned very little, whereas if they've only had 1 voice teacher for a year and a half, they may have learned a whole lot. If I hear somebody walk in and sing really badly and then see 5 voice teachers listed next to that with 8 years of experience, that concerns me. If I hear a student walk in and sing okay and they've only had voice lessons for 6 months, I'm really interested, because that person is obviously either has a lot of natural talent or has accomplished a whole lot in 6 months. So you need to look at if you list the years or not. If you feel like you've had some vocal struggles, don't list how many years you've been taking lessons. Just list a couple teachers' names. If you feel like you're doing really well with only 1 year of voice lesson experience, by all means list that you've only had 1 year of voice lesson experience. Your voice teacher list shouldn't include more than 2 names within 4 years or more than 3 names within 8 years. For the dance section, I do think years of training here is valuable. Knowing that someone has only had 1 year of ballet is very important. Knowing that somebody has had 10 years of ballet is very important. The dance audition can be really tough. There's not a chance to stop and work with somebody individually like there often is in a voice lesson or in a voice audition. So you want to let them know that maybe you were confused by the routine, but you did great bar work, and that's because you had 10 years of ballet where you focused on bar work. Or you may want to communicate some other message. This is your chance to do that. Then if you've had an acting teacher, go ahead and list that. If you've only had an acting class, then list that as well. Let's say it's Bayside Theater acting class, and you put 2011 to 2013. That can be valuable information. If it was acting in a specific style, such as Meisner or Stanislavski or Chekhov, go ahead and list that as well. The final section is special skills. If you're going to list something in the special skills section, be sure that you can actually do it. Now, driver's license seems like it may not be that important. At the college audition level, it's probably not. But in the professional world, it lets people know that you could go out and do some sort of an educational outreach tour and that you could drive the van. And in New York City, you can't always find people who have driver's licenses. This person, Susie, listed piano, guitar. She can play both, and she could do it on the spot if asked. She can speak Spanish. She's great with kids. She can list all the presidents in order. She has a death metal scream that she can do for you on the spot. She could juggle on the spot. If you wanted her to eat fire on the spot, she could. And finally, she can wiggle her ears when she's singing. Try to make them conversation starters, but don't obsess over them and don't try to impress.